Hey guys, it's Zenith Darksky here on the channel again. It takes a lot out of me not to say it. It's Zenith Darksky here with Darksky Game News because that used to be the old name of the channel, and that's something I kind of want to try to revive this year is Darksky Game News. And I guess this would be like reboot episode 1 with some really hardcore news coming out this week. I really felt like, you know what, someone needs to report on this all in one place where you guys don't have to read it, because who cares about reading? Who's reading out there anyways, except for me? So I'm here to report on some video game news. So I guess let me redo that. Hey guys, I'm Zenith Darksky with Darksky Game News, and let's get right into it. First of all, Lucasfilm Games is now the official name of the Lucasfilm properties for like video games and stuff like that. And they released a sizzle reel of what they have done so far after the Disney acquisition. This includes games like Battlefront, the Lego Star Wars franchise, and Star Wars Fallen Order, Jedi Fallen Order. And they have announced a partnership with Bethesda to develop an Indiana Jones game, which will tell a wholly original tale set at the height of the career of the famed adventurer. No details have been shared at this time, but many believe that the original tweet was very cryptic and could point to potential hints about the game or story. And there are a few videos on YouTube that you can check out to see some Easter egg in the like trailer thing that came up with their tweet. Meanwhile, Lucasfilm Games has tapped Ubisoft, and more specifically Massive, to develop an open-world Star Wars experience that they want to feel like something fresh we've never experienced while feeling familiar with what we know. Massive Games does games like Division, Far Cry 3, and are currently working on an Avatar project. Blue People Avatar, not the Airbender. They also lay claim to the innovative and beautiful Snowdrop engine. Job listings also give us a few more hints for this Star Wars project, listing jobs in gameplay, art, production, animation, and more. If we take the details of these all together, then they're more than likely pointing toward an open-world, action-adventure, RPG with a reality-based, linear or non-linear story, as one of the writing positions asks for someone with experience in both of those styles. What does this mean for EA though? They were supposed to be contracted with Star Wars for like 10 years, and it hasn't been 10 years yet. Well, if you're a fan of some of those games, don't worry. EA has come forward to say that they will have projects in development. Most likely, or they still have projects in development, most likely Battlefront 3 and Fallen Order 2, and I'm hoping for that very, very much. I'm very excited. I love that game. So basically, it looks like Lucasfilm Games is taking more direct and diverse approach to the Star Wars IP and video games, opening up to other companies instead of just contracting with one, which is a good thing. Diversity means less microtransaction riddled games, and games that are taken more seriously among a hardcore fan base. And if that's not enough Star Wars video game news for you, well, you're in luck, because in a statement from Lucasfilm Games, they have made it clear that we should expect plenty more Star Wars games from now on, and more announcements this year. Now, let's switch news to a little bit darker shade here of stuff that's happened this week. Cyberpunk 2077 has recently laid out a roadmap on their website that still shows free DLC dropping in 2021, though they have stated that their most pressing issue is fixing the game in the first place, which is good to see, seeing that they recently had the development investigated, and it turns out even though Cyberpunk was announced as early as 2013, it wasn't started on until 2016. So some developers on the inside have even gone as far to say that they thought the original release dates that were announced were a joke. They thought the game would be ready in 2022, not 2020. So, CD Projekt Red. I would like to say I love CD Projekt Red, but I think they have officially just willed away all goodwill that we had with CD Projekt Red. In other news though, Ubisoft's game Riders Republic, which is a massively multiplayer action sports game, has been delayed to later this year, which moves it away from its original February 25th release date. And with the whole Cyberpunk thing going on, it wouldn't surprise me if we see Riders Republic maybe delayed a couple more times, and that's okay. That's all right. Speaking of delays, though, Hogwarts Legacy has been delayed into 2022 as well, stating that they will be giving the game the time it needs, probably in reference to seeing how Cyberpunk 2077 was rushed and seeing the harsh backlash that they have created for themselves. Later this week, we're going to see a Resident Evil Village gameplay reveal along with other Resident Evil news, because Resident Evil's Twitter has revealed that there's going to be an RE showcase on January 21st at 2 p.m. PST, Pacific Standard Time. The more interesting thing to me, though, besides the Resident Evil Village gameplay, is that their tweet says, "Join Resident Evil producers and our host, Brittany," I'm sorry if I'm slaughtering your name, Brombisher, on a guided tour of Resident Evil Village, including a new trailer, first ever gameplay, and more Resident Evil news. More Resident Evil news seems to imply to me that we could potentially see more than just Resident Evil Village, like, say, maybe Resident Evil 4 remake, release date, maybe. I have high hopes, seeing that these other remakes have just been straight amazing. You know, I could see it being a longer frame of time before we see this, because at least RE2 and RE3 could reuse assets, while RE4 is a completely different environment and everything. That being said, it wouldn't surprise me if we saw some assets being reused from Village for RE4, since they appear to have a slightly similar setting. A little bit, one's snowier and one's not, but you know, they're kind of similar. But here's hoping we see it sooner rather than later. The Dishonored co-creator Harvey Smith is working on an unannounced project with Dishonored and Prey teams at Arcane for a new game in the fantasy genre in Unreal Engine 4. So hopefully we have a new Dishonored game coming out soon. And some heartbreaking news for me personally, the Killzone website this week has been retired. The developers have announced that it will not affect any multiplayer modes though, and Guerrilla's statement on their website ends by thanking Killzone.com's many fans and visitors throughout the years for their enthusiasm and support. Guerrilla has been hard at work on the Horizon franchise, Horizon Zero Dawn and Horizon Forbidden West. And while it doesn't mean this is the end for Killzone, it certainly feels like a company has moved on from one successful franchise to another with no blatant intention to return. But we'll see. Either way, though, that wraps up like the big news from this week, the big shit that I don't see enough people talking about besides the Star Wars stuff. Everyone's talking about that, but I wanted to put all the details in one place. But for this next week, because I'm going to try to make this a weekly thing, for this next week, the video games coming out, because I want to, tell you guys what games are coming out each week. The games coming out this next week here are Hitman 3 for PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Switch, Stadia, and PC on January 20th. That is in 3 days from now. And Ride 4, which is a racing game, if you guys know the Ride series, Ride 4 for PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S on January 21st. Never been a fan myself, but I'm very picky with my racing games. Either way, thank you guys so much for watching the first episode back with Darksky game news. It's been fun. I do like this. I pay attention to video game news a lot more than a lot of people do. So I figured, fuck it. There's a few news things on YouTube. I'll throw mine out there and we'll see what we can do. Either way, though, I used to have a catchphrase for leaving, though, and I believe it was good reporting with you guys. I'm Zenith Darksky from Darksky Game News. Get gaming.